I was an architect for a number of years prior to coming across to the dark side, as everyone likes to call it. The construction industry is so collaborative. I think that's what makes it fantastic. It's what I feel really passionate about. I'm really fascinated to understand where AI will lead us. Definitely something I'm a little bit fearful of, possibly because I don't know anything about it. As a trained architect, moving across into design management, the detailing, the understanding of concept and the translation of design into a buildable, a realistic kind of achievement.
No one person can take the glory for delivering any project. It depends on so many and every wee bit coming together.
They're small, but they all add up, right? If everyone's doing that little bit, it can only be, to the benefit of the environment ultimately. I would tell them not to be afraid to ask questions. Those that were most successful quickly learned was that good work only speaks so far. You have to be able to tell a story, you have to be able to sell your idea, and you have to be able to communicate effectively.
Hello and welcome to the Specialist View podcast, brought to you by Specialist Group. I am your host, Kieran O'Hagan, and I am joined here today by the fabulous Charlotte Meeks, Divisional Design Manager for ISG. We, over the next number of podcasts, are going to be talking to key members of the construction industry, industry leaders, industry innovators, and our main purpose is to understand how we can collaborate with each other, innovate with each other, and to understand where we will be in the next 10 years and what we can do to learn from each other. So stay tuned and subscribe to stay up to date with new episodes. Today I'm joined with the fabulous Charlotte Meeks, Divisional Design Manager on your new title. So well done and congratulations for that.
Thank you very much.
Great to see young people getting a promotion. So before we begin, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on Charlotte. Charlotte has been many years in design, and you've actually worked on the architect side of design previous to moving over to construction.
I have, yeah. I was there for 8 to 10 years, working in practice, before I moved to ISG.
And you've been with ISG?
For 3.5 years now.
3.5 years, brilliant, fantastic. So basically, Charlotte, we're just going to have a bit of a conversation today, just as free-flowing as we can. It's just about how we can help inspire other people within the industry, where it's from a design management role, how we can collaborate better as supply chain design management, and how we can deliver better projects less painfully than we are today. Because everything improves, and with time comes improvement. So it's just about your understanding of that. And if nothing else today, we'll have a good conversation, and hopefully one person will get some good out of it.
Brilliant.
Would you like to give listeners a wee bit more information about yourself, Charlotte? So a wee bit of an introduction to you.
Yes, as you said, I'm Divisional Design Manager at ISG. I operate in one of our major fit-out units. So I deal with predominantly projects based in central London, and typically tech-focused clients, finance, legal firms are our typical kind of clients. And I manage a team of 10 design managers, fantastic team, that are all out in the field, on site, delivering projects. As you said, my background is architectural. I was an architect for a number of years prior to coming across to the dark side, as everyone likes to call it. And I can honestly say that I haven't looked back. It's been a really great move and a really positive move professionally. And I look forward to the next few years.
Brilliant. And I'm sure there's many challenges with that, as there is with every job, Charlotte. You started the journey as an architect, which I imagine has really bolstered your move over to the dark side.
Definitely, yeah. And I think the obvious thing to mention there is the creativity piece and the understanding that you have as a trained architect moving across into design management, the detailing, the understanding of concept and the translation of design into a buildable, a realistic kind of achievement. I think probably the thing that is maybe not so identifiable or not always referenced is the communication skill that you learn as an architect. And anyone that might be listening today or who's been through that architectural education, you know that from day one, you're at university, you're forced into, I say forced, you participate in what we call crits, where you present your work in front of your peers, your mentors, guest tutors from the working in practice. And it's become a bit of a rite of passage. And what it demonstrated, and what those that were most successful quickly learned, was that your good work only speaks so far. You have to be able to tell a story, you have to be able to sell your idea, and you have to be able to communicate effectively with lots of different people with different interests and different backgrounds. And that itself then translates, once you are working in practice, once you're qualified, in the same way that there are so many stakeholders. You're dealing with local authority, you're dealing with building control clients, other design professionals, main contractors, and you have to be able to navigate that communication minefield. And that is probably the sole quality that I think translates really well and is absolutely necessary to make that move from architect to design manager. It might be a different pool of people, but it's still that communication minefield that architectural background really sets you up well for.
That in itself just sort of builds the foundation for the piece on top of it. And I imagine, coming from an architect's background, you understand how to coordinate, and what the pitfalls are potentially to look for whenever we're coordinating drawings and design to bring a whole project together. So I imagine there's been a fair bit of homing in your early days as an architect for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think particularly in the tender period, I'm talking about sort of being a design manager now, but the tender period where you often don't get the opportunity to have a huge amount of engagement with the design team, or certainly not outside a formal process. And to come from a design background and really understand concept and detailing and be able to see what that architect vision, what the design vision is, and know how they want that to translate in reality. For us as design managers to be able to communicate that back to our commercial team so that they can buy out and price packages correctly is fundamental, I think, at that stage. So definitely.
Yeah. And it's something that, see, from us, from a supply chain point of view, if we've got strong teams, which your team's a very strong team, and they know what they're about, then they're giving us a good roadmap to deliver a decent project.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all need to know how to get from A to B, and that's the part of the map that you facilitate very well.
Yeah, I think so. I think we end up being like a conduit, don't we? Like, everyone knows that we don't build from design information. We build from subcontractor information as design managers and technical services managers to an extent. We're that conduit. We are that constant back and forward communication to make sure that vision is executed correctly into the stage 5 information.
I think many times it's like some of our jobs, but I do think a design manager's job is particularly difficult, because you do get so much information from somebody, say from joinery, metal, glass, ceilings, floors, M&E, and you have to overlay it all, and then you're trying to work out how we can coordinate all them details, make sure that it's buildable, that within the budget, and that we don't forget about what the original design intent was in the first place. So sometimes I think it's almost an impossible task that you have as a design manager.
It is. And I think the way you've explained it, I think anyone listening would be like, oh my gosh, that sounds super high pressured, super high stress. But the construction industry is so collaborative. And I think that's what makes it fantastic. It's what I feel really passionate about. And when anyone asks me what it's like working in the construction industry, that collaborative bit is always the bit that I'm really enthused about. And I say that because as design managers, we're also really reliant on the support from particularly our supply chain and suppliers that we work with. And it's that specialist knowledge. It's being able to sit in a room, poring over joinery details or coordinating a reflected ceiling plan, and using that specialist trade knowledge to really create the best detail that we can and really execute that design vision to the best it can be.
Well, I would agree, and I wasn't trying to paint a bad picture of the job, because I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm involved in the construction industry across all levels, and I love it. There's days it's trying, like any job, but I love it. I just was trying to point out the fact that it's probably a job that sits away in the background. We all see the finished products that go on walls and the reflective ceilings and so on, but we don't realise how much effort had to go in to get all them details to work. suppose a bit like a Ferrari car, for example. We don't know how it's built, and we don't know all the R&D and everything that went on in the background to get it there. We just see this lovely car. It's like a lovely project.
And I think not just in the stage 5, I think certainly myself with having that architectural background, I understand sometimes the pain or the process that the design team has gone through to get to where they are. And I think it's quite easy as main contractors when we're successful in a tender and we win the job and we come in and we're like, yeah, great, we're going to get cracking. And we often forget all of the work that's been done to date that's enabled the team to get even just to that point. And as a design manager, to be able to recognize that and have understanding around the design team and, you know, be able to interrogate some of those decisions or talk to them more about why things have evolved so that we can better understand their concept. I think that's a really important piece of work that we do, certainly at the front end when we're taking on any job.
Definitely. So how important is it to you on the sort of the collaboration process between supply chain? I know we've touched on it earlier on, but you've got your supply chain and then you've got the collaboration with design teams and the architects practices that have brought these projects together.
Yeah.
So how important is all that now?
Massively. It takes an army to build a job. There is
does.
not one person that is solely responsible for the success of a project. And I think when you focus on collaboration and you make everyone really accountable for what they're bringing to the table, I think that's when you see the most success. Particularly for us in pre-construction, that's when collaboration comes into its own. And we are, as design managers, we're in workshops maybe on a single project 2 days a week. We're back to back with our drywall contractors, with our joinery contractors, and with our professional team as well. So we're all around a table, working through design resolution, looking at coordination, and really making sure that the job is pulled together in the best way it can be. But it is truly that accountability, I think, in collaboration that is the successful part or the key to the success.
Yeah, and I think you're very keen, and you're right. No one person can take the glory for delivering any project. It depends on so many, and every wee bit coming together just in the right time at the right place, and so you've really covered that. And I just have a good appreciation for people that understand the industry and understand the challenges within it. So from a point of view of sort of maybe the highlight of your working life so far, which hasn't been very long, you're working on the dark side.
Yeah.
From that point of view, what would your sort of highlights be, most exciting projects so far? Or is that a fair question to ask?
It's a fair question. It's probably not one that I can answer without referencing the obvious impending Google KGX1.
Okay, sorry.
Which you're also involved in.
Thank you.
But the landscraper, as it's nicknamed, because it is as long as the Shard is tall, so like key fun London factory there. It's going to be fantastic. Working with a client like Google, they really set the bar for how they want their project teams to operate. They really push us in terms of our innovation. I think ISG naturally, certainly within our fit out division, are very progressive on that, and innovation is something that we're always looking to optimize. But specifically with Google, their use of technology and how they want us to implement that into delivery and streamline and be more efficient is fantastic. And I also think what's great looking forward to Google is the project has been going on for so long. I think the base build has been on site, I want to say since 2016, I might be wrong, 2016, 2017. But the project fatigue, can you imagine, of all of the people that have been involved to date? And I think us coming in now, and to some extent we get to do the glamorous bit,
nice
don't
bits,
we? Because
the
we
nice
get to do the
bits.
bit where finishes start to kind of be tangible and people can really see the end, see the finish line in sight. And I think what we're doing as ISG, and I certainly hope that this is true and this sentiment is experienced by the design team and the client team, that we're injecting a new level of enthusiasm and motivation to finish the job. That project fatigue will be high, and we get to come in with a newfound energy and really kind of be like, right, we're going to nail it now. We're going to kind of bring your vision to light, and we get to hand over what is going to be a fantastic job.
Yeah. And I suppose usually that new spark, that new light that has just came on, and unfortunately for the people that have delivered the base build over 7 or 8 years, and that fatigue is set in with, but someday they will get a level of satisfaction because they know the bit that you now are currently doing couldn't have been done without all the hard work they done.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for the man that was involved in the planning, or the person who was involved in, or woman involved in the planning, for want of a better word as well. So, you know, it's important for them to realise this thing's now starting to come to life, and all that hard work is buried under the ground is now coming up. And you mentioned the fact there that it's as long in length on the ground as the shard is.
Yes.
It's only 2 stories, if I'm correct.
No, but the shard tall, right? So if you took KGX1 and you tipped it on its end,
Yes.
the shard,
Would fit in there.
yes.
My God.
I
What
know.
an amazing fact.
I know.
Am I right in saying that it's like 1.2 million square feet?
So I think it's a million square feet,
Okay.
and I think about 750,000 square foot of that is the Google commercial workplace, and the rest is retail, sort of onto the streetscape. So it's a mega job. We're going to get our step count up on that job for sure.
You definitely will. 1 million square feet is like phenomenal size of project.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be a lot of projects of that size delivered in the London market to date.
No, it certainly is one of the biggest, yeah.
And there don't seem to be a lot of these mega projects within the fit-out industry at the moment.
Do you think? I think we've had a few recently. When you think of like the likes of Citibank, Deutsche Bank, Google coming up, these have all happened in such a relatively short period of time, sort of in the last 5 years. It feels like there've been these sort of mega jobs. Battersea Power Station as well.
Just finished
Yeah,
that
we've
one.
just finished that one.
But there's a lot of them coming up, Charlotte, is what I'm trying to say. Like, there seems to be like a large amount of them has been on the pipeline, on the burner.
Yes.
Over the year of 24, 25, 26, there seems to be a sight of, as you just named a few there, but like HSBC's coming up.
Yeah.
Allen Overy, K&E's been on over here. It's one of your fit-out teams on that as well.
It's quite interesting actually, because when you think about going back to COVID, the C word that I really don't like to talk about anymore.
Please don't go there.
But the press, the media were all over the fact that no one's going back to workplace, no one's going back to the office like they used to. And I think gradually we're seeing that actually we are returning and going back to the collaboration word, because we really see the benefit of being together, working together, regardless of what industry you're in. And I wonder if that is maybe driving some of the spend we're now seeing our clients investing into their assets to develop fantastic workplaces for their staff, to kind of really create these amazing environments for them to work in.
Very interesting subject, and I suppose it would be good to touch on it when we're here, but I'm pretty much with you. I don't want to hear the word COVID because, as we all know, number one, personally for us all, it was a very trying time.
Yeah.
If you were in a business and trying to keep it running, it was a very trying time. And us as a construction industry got no breather to stop. We had to bring our people onto sites and make things happen during the whole process. But it is interesting now that there's so much investment going into the office space, yet there's still this conversation going on left wing that says people are not returning to the office. But I think if you look out in London today and it's Thursday, the place is jammed. I've just walked from St Paul's over to here and Aldgate. It's jammed, it's buzzing. The Monday and Friday thing seems to be even, you can really feel the streets filling up a wee bit. The tubes are a bit busier in the mornings.
Yeah, definitely. I think people are just realising that being in the office, being around their colleagues, being able to have, just office chats, things that and I was talking before I came into this podcast about how important it is, particularly for junior members of staff, to be able to subconsciously hear conversations that are going on in their realm and learn from that. It was certainly something that when I was a junior designer before I'd qualified as an architect, that hearing those things, they start to resonate and you pick things up by default. But it's all learning, it all contributes to your education, and you don't get that when you work from home. You don't get that absorption, that education, that interaction with more experienced colleagues. You don't catch the end of discussions that maybe you wouldn't normally be party to, but you're sat next to someone who's having it, so you kind of hear what's going on. And I think those aspects of working from home versus working in the office, I think, are really important. And I sincerely hope that we see people, embracing, working in the office more. I'm an advocate for it.
Then these spaces are getting better, and we're doing the design and intent in these seem to be more about collaboration. It's more about bringing the ease of working life. So long gone are the days of just sitting behind the desk. Like, There's a lot of really nice
Yeah.
home stuff, from gyms to breakout areas, tea stations. There's just an awful lot going on in the office today. It's like a really 5-star hotel in some instances. But it's really good that we're talking about the piece of potentially from all our development, but particularly from the more junior people's development. It's like, how does a child learn? Like, a child doesn't get told everything and learn everything. It soaks up like a sponge.
Yes.
What it sees mommy, daddy, uncle, aunt.
Yeah, they mirror. They mirror.
They mirror.
Yeah.
And that's how the behaviour is formed. So when people are working from home, that whole piece is missing. So it could create a gap in knowledge where, and that doesn't matter whether the finance industry, the tech industry, the construction industry, design industry, there is an element of, oh, we need to work. And the office spaces create a full learning and collaborative learning and development centre. And I suppose somewhere in there, there'll be more of a hybrid coming out of COVID. We went from not being in the office to now being in the office 2-3 days a week, to seeing the benefits of being in the office. And I think companies will find, maybe a wee bit more flexibility as time goes on, around a bit of home working and a bit of a mix of office work. But I think it's really clear that we can't learn and develop and collaborate as well over teams and from individual silos as we can all together in an office.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I didn't think we would get onto the COVID subject.
Sorry,
today,
I didn't want to bring it up.
No.
But it's when you're talking about workplace, it's just quite an interesting conversation because it's very quickly not become what everyone predicted, it would be.
But it's 100%. So, Sharon, if I were to ask you today, what would the advice be if there was listeners, and I'm going to say young listeners, that are thinking about potentially following down a design route, an architecture route, or even something within the construction industry, particularly around architecture and design, as that is your specialism? What advice would you give them?
So I think I would tell them not to be afraid to ask questions. I think that the construction industry can appear an intimidating one if you don't understand, if you don't know, if you haven't experienced it yet. And there are no two people on any job that know it all, have seen it all, done it all. And I think that's what's so great about our industry. It's quite humbling that you can have someone who has very little experience, but has just by so happened to have done a job where this particular material application or method of construction was done. You could equally have someone on that job that's, 30 years in the ground in construction, but hasn't done that, and you've got that education piece in a different way, and I think that's fantastic. And I think the questioning piece, as I was saying about the construction industry being intimidating, I've never ever had a bad experience when I've asked a question. No one's ever said that was a stupid question, why did you ask that? Everyone has always been so willing to share their words, their wisdom, particularly I think from the supply chain. On every job I have a takeaway. I continue to learn. I don't think there will ever be a point when I'm working in this industry that I don't go to work and don't learn anything new. And I love that about it. I'm really, really passionate about it. And I just sincerely hope that young people ask questions, show that they are hungry to learn more. Those are kind of key things that I think certainly more senior people in businesses look out for, because it just shows that enthusiasm and that hunger for knowledge, that they want to get better and they want to improve and to be brave and ask those questions. There is no stupid question. And I'm really clear with anyone I speak to when we have work experience students in, when we have a great grad program at ISG.
Okay.
And I think it's really important that we encourage people to, ask those things and upskill teams and let people learn.
You're preaching to the converted. I fully believe in bringing them through from primary school age. We have an open door policy to the schools and anyone that we can help in any way. And I think you, just to home in on your point, is no question is silly. Every question asked is valid.
Yeah.
You wouldn't ask it if you didn't. And somebody, even the person you're asking it to, may not know the answer. So it may be an opportunity missed if you don't ask the question, because we all can learn. We're all learning from each other every day.
Absolutely.
So Sharon, as a joinery manufacturer and as a member of your supply chain, and it's probably a question I'm asking, but I'm open to a very honest answer, whatever it may be. What would be the one or two key things that we could do to enhance our people and our business and our service?
I think it's really important that you manage those relationships with architects. I think that connection, that network is key. I think joinery in fit out often is the project. It's often our highest value package beyond the M&E, and it's really fundamental to how any project develops. And I think to build those relationships with architects that they can rely on you to support them before a main contractor's even on board is a great opportunity, a great kind of conduit to navigate your way into projects, certainly. I think working alongside design managers in main contracting is also a fantastic reference point. I know that you have a team of design managers in Specialist Joinery Group that really kind of work alongside our team, and it's great to have those roles aligned. It's the same way that we work and we build our teams. When we're thinking about our relationships with the professional team, we make sure we have people in our ISG team that are aligned to people in the professional team, so they have that go-to. It's very difficult in the construction industry, as you highlighted earlier. There's so much going on. It's such a busy time to be able to have that person, that relationship that you can go to with issues and that they can be solved, and that we can make sure that information is being passed freely across is really important.
Okay. Well, thank you for your insights around that. Now, the open question I would say to ask you is, where do you think that the fit-out industry here, how will it evolve? What does it look like in 10 years' time?
I think we're absolutely not done with technological change yet. I think probably as an industry, we're maybe a bit on the back foot relative to other industries. But I think that's because so much of our work is so manual, and it always has been. And it can be difficult to automate that. I'm certainly intrigued to see where the next 10 years will take us in terms of that, in terms of streamlining what we do, in terms of improving our quality, improving our performance for our clients. I'm really fascinated to understand where AI will lead us. It's not something I know enough about, so I'm not going to talk in any detail. And it's definitely something I'm a little bit fearful of, possibly because I don't know anything about it. That being said, if it can turn around a reflected ceiling plan, coordinated, signed off in 4 weeks, I'm sold.
Me too. Me too. It's an interesting one because I would be like you. A wee bit of me's a bit timorous of it. But I suppose like everything in life, when mobile phones came out, or sure, an example maybe at the moment is Alexa. Some people you talk to think Alexa's listening to them and sending them stuff on their screen. Some people just think it's great. So there'll be positives and negatives to AI as the time goes on.
Yeah, we as people, we don't like change, right?
No,
and it's change. So, we have to evolve and we have to move with the times. And I think there will be some great benefits to how it can be rolled out in our industry. Yeah.
The other thing is the circular economy and sustainability will change what we all do. Mm-hmm. And it's been a big conversation now, getting probably more relevant, and it's now actually things start with conversations, then they change and they start to take action. So there's action now being taken, and I think there's a good potential for that over the next 10 years to look a lot differently on how we reuse products and stuff.
Definitely, and it's something that our clients more and more are looking for us to do on that circular economy piece. Quite often the joinery is in an obvious place to start. I think fit out, they typically talk about life cycles of 5 to 10 years, which feels so short with the investment that businesses and clients make into their spaces. And to be able to look at how we modularize or prefabricate to be able to upcycle and reuse those or rehome them elsewhere, I think is massive. And certainly on some of our tenders recently, clients are challenging us to build databases of materials that we've salvaged from other jobs to be able to fit out their space, which is fantastic.
At the end of the day, as human beings, we've all got a job to do to preserve the world we live in.
Absolutely.
And it's just about innovative thinking among ourselves and collaboration in order to change that. And what we're currently doing is not going to slow down the erosion of the ozone layer. So I suppose we have to ramp something up on that.
Yeah, I think so. But I think we're also, you can see particularly in supply chain, the efforts that are being made around things like reusable packaging, how they're transporting their materials to site. how they're reusing, products, fixings and things. And I think all of those, they're small, but they all add up, right? If everyone's doing that little bit, it can only be, to the benefit of the environment ultimately.
100%. 100%. We've got to do that across the board. So Charlotte, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day and busy week to come to share with us the Specialist View, and hopefully with thousands of listeners over the next couple of months, your insight into design and architecture and your journey. And thank you for your honesty within that.
Thank you. It's been great to chat.
Okay, thank you.